this is the broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower, and it's 11 days old. This is my variety of tomatoes. This is my variety of tomatoes. It's 162 cell. Just about all of them has germinated. Hey guys, welcome to Never Alone Homestead. Well, I'm out here in the greenhouse, obviously, and I'm planting 3 different varieties that I have grown before that I know that work excellent. And because we came through a winter storm and I didn't get all the cauliflower I would love to have had, and most of the time I grow it in the spring, and spring is not far from us. So these varieties are Godzilla broccoli that I get from Haas Tools, cauliflower early snowball X that I get at Lowe's, Cheers cabbage that I get at Haas Tools. Now I'm sure you could probably find these varieties at other places, but these are the 3 varieties I have grown a couple of times actually. And so when I usually order seeds, most of the time I don't order just 1 pack, I'll order 2 or 3. So let's go to the seed starting table and let's get to planting these seeds. So my cell is filled up with Jiffy Natural Organic Seed Starting Mix. Now, in a previous video I showed you how I get this mixture wet all the way down, but just to recap a little bit, you fill it up and you're going to keep spraying it with the water hose lightly until you stop seeing the water sitting on top of this trays here, these cell trays or seed cell trays. And what I like to do is I like to mix my seed starting mix with some water, get it really damp, not too damp, but damp to where it goes into cells really easy. That's a seed saving time for me. So I do that, and then I go back through a couple of times and spray it lightly with water. And as long as I see it not sitting on the top and draining through, I pretty much know that this seed starting mix has been saturated, is moist enough for these seeds to be planted. You want that seed starting mix to be moist all the way to the bottom of your cell. Now I already have my sticks ready with the names on them and the dates, so I'll know when I planted these. Also, I'll write it down on a piece of paper because eventually the sun and water will deteriorate what the names are on the sticks, and most of the time you forget to go back and write it on there. I do anyhow. And so I like to put it in a book because if you think you can remember, I promise you, I've done it too many times, you won't remember. So I've already gone through the cell right here, and I like to put indentation. This is where my seeds are going to be going at, and most seeds get planted either 1/4 or 1/8 inch deep. So, and once you put your seed in, you know, we know that once you water it, then that's seed starting soil or whatever you're using will start to cover the seed also. So now I'm not going to plant this. This is 162 cell. I'm not going to plant all these broccoli, and you know, because I've got some growing in the greenhouse and some out into the garden right now, and it's winter time. So your seeds, they're pretty small, but they're durable to handle. And I'm going to start on this side. I like to put 2 seeds. Haas seeds they germinate really well, but I'm just going to put 2 seeds. And I'm probably end up just planting, I don't know, probably just a row of cauliflower and broccoli. We'll see. I haven't really got that well thought out yet because I haven't planned on growing cauli and broccoli for the spring. So, now, I don't know if I said that correctly or not, but this is cabbage I'm putting in. These are the cabbages. So I really didn't get hardly any cabbage because of the storm, winter storm. So I definitely got 2 there. I think I'm going to put another cell in case all these don't come up. And because, you know, just because you grow something good one time doesn't mean the next season it's going to do good. So maybe You know, maybe my broccoli won't do good, or maybe, you know, so I just like to plant extra. Okay, got me 3 cells going there, and put the rest of these seeds back into the pack. I'm going to take my moist, which is kind of dried out just a little bit since it's sitting in this greenhouse, and I'm going to start to cover this up, sprinkle it on top of it. You're not going to be putting a whole lot. You're not really, say, patting it down. You know, you're just getting it into the cells. I'll just cover it with my cells there. And that's pretty much it. And you want that seed to have good contact with the soil. I'm going to put perlite on top. It's something new I've started. You don't have to do this. This is something new I've started. I've did it other times, and I got it in my greenhouse. But just something I'm starting because I live on the southeast coast of North Carolina, and it gets hot and humid here, and it could be 50 degrees and then up to 90. So it's just the way it is. So I'm trying this right here. When you're gardening, you just have to keep, experiment and see what works in your region, what works in your area. Will this work? Yes, the seeds are small. Most seeds can push through. So now once I get the rest of the seeds planted, then I'm going to water this real good. And it probably won't take too much water because this seed starting mix is already, it's already wet, moist. You know what I was thinking, what stopped me thinking is like, did I actually get to talking cabbage here, or did I actually put cauliflower? And I don't want all these cauliflower. So what's going to happen when they grow up, they kind of look alike. So leave me a comment. Tell me, was these 3 rows cabbages? Because I've done that before, and you know, it's crazy. You do things like that. Is these 3 rows cabbages, or did I plant cauliflower? And if it happens like that, well, I'll just have a whole lot of cauliflower. But anyways, I'm going to plant 2 cells of cauliflower, maybe more. I'm beginning to wonder, looking at these seeds, if that's what I did. Anyways, so these seeds are pretty small also. The sun is starting to go down behind the trees. So it's going to produce some shading here. And I'm putting 2 or 3, you know, I'm not like being cautionary with it. You got more plants coming up than you need, you know, in a cell. Just take your scissors and cut it off. Down here I'm just putting 1 or 2. I'm putting 2 in that one. So, since I don't know, it's all cauliflower, got it talking. I'm just going to plant 2 rows of cauliflower, because if this comes up, that's going to be pretty much, and I'm considering my spring planting. The next step is I just like to take and put lightly some seed starting mix right over the top. I'm trying to get back over here, not too much in that other cell. And you're just making that contact. And these are probably going down probably about 1/4, 1/8 inch. You don't want your seeds too deep or they're not coming up. And so now we got that. And as I said, I am doing this technique. I'm doing this technique. Once you get this all covered up, it's kind of hard to see how many cells you got going on. Which, if you covered up all of them, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2. So then I'm going to put my sticks in, and I usually start like the last row. I'll put my stick in, and then these 2 rows here, I'll put it in the last ones, and that way I know that my next starting cell is right here. So I've already got my indentions here into my cells. I'm covered, put that because it kind of got covered up just a little bit. Now we're going on with the broccoli. Once again, 2 or 3 seeds. Put 4 in that one. I was gonna slip down my fingers, but and they'll probably come up, you know. Then I'll just, and you can, once these, they get big enough, and you can pull the roots apart from one another. If you got 2 plants, and they used to grow them like that, and you used to get like, say if you're buying 6 plants, you would get 8, but they stopped that at the big box store. So, but you can pull them apart gently, and then it will produce more transplant shock. But you know, you can pull them apart and water them as soon as you plant them. Water them and keep them watered, and they'll do okay. I've done that plenty. I used to always, when I used to buy plants at the big box store, I would always go and try to look through the plants and find it extra, so I'm getting my money's value. But you really hardly find that anymore. So then I'm gonna sprinkle my little perlite on here. And see, I haven't even got a half a cell planted. And then I'm gonna put my little stick in. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna put a tall stick here. I might have one sitting down here. Tall stick down here to let me remind myself there's nothing planted there, and that's where I'm going to start at. Our next step is just to take it over here and water it. Here you will see this is 162 cells, a different variety of tomatoes. I have saran wrap on top of it to help hold in the moisture, to help these seeds to stay, to help the soil, the seed starting mix to stay moist, and help these seeds to germinate. And the watering begins. So I can wet this all over here, and I probably will just keep it moist because I'm not sure what I'm going to plant next. But I don't have to go through this process of steps again of getting my seed starting mix to be wet again and ready for planting my seeds. So I'm going to go ahead and wet these while I'm at it, while that's soaking in. Because remember, we put that little bit of seed starting mix on top of that, so that's got to be, it's got to be moistened real good. And since these cells have been moistened really good, you do not see the water standing on top of it. You do not see the water washing the seeds and the perlite and a seed starting mix out of the tray. That lets you know, hey, it's ready. It's ready to start growing. So now I'll wait a few minutes. I think I'm going to water it again. At the beginning, if you can't overwater it, as long as you don't have it sitting into a cell tray, sitting in water, I mean, you're not going to produce bacteria. It's going to just wash right on through. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, these came up from seeds from the worm castings. But this is one cabbage that I have grown from seeds that was in the garden. And so it's, you know, it was really tiny when I brought it in here. And we had that storm coming, so I was like, I'm going to take it in. So, yeah. You know, seed starting is really easy. Today we have learned how to grow broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower, and seeing that all 3 of those seeds go exactly the same into a cell, or whatever you decide to plant them in is exactly the same, and so therefore they should germinate the same, and they will be planted about the same time, and then they'll grow at the same time. And not all of them will harvest at the same time. Most of them will start coming off, but broccoli, they're bigger heads than other ones, and so is the cabbage and cauliflower. So you could start, you know, taking 1 or 2 off at a time and go ahead and eat them, because so you won't have all of them coming off at one time. But most of the time they're sporadic. They just kind of spread out a little bit. But if you learned anything from this video, give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on to the next video. God bless.